me a day.
All right, I have to hit OK up here just a second.
All right.
Okay, that's so it's
Thank
recording
you
now.
for speaking with me, my friend.
My pleasure.
How long did it take to put this album together?
Um, I would say about five. Well, the actual process of making the album, it's complicated. Um, see, I'm Adrian, and I'm a guitar player in Warrant, and I've only been in the band since 2022, so for 3 years. And this album that we made now, or released, was recorded before I actually joined the band as a full member.
Wow. Okay.
It was recorded during basically during the COVID pandemic. You could say it was mainly 2020, and I was asked to do some guest solos on the album because I was always a friend of the band, but I wasn't in the band. And toward the end of the pandemic, then they asked me if I want to join the band. So then I joined the band, and then it took for like really a long time until the band found a label and got all those business things settled so that we could get the record released. And then it took a long time, but the actual making of the album, producing the album, recording, that was probably just maybe like 4 or 5 months in the year 2020. And I think the final mastering, post-production, that often gets drawn out because you do a master version and then you want to change something, and then you do this, and then you want to change a mix,
Sure.
and then things go back and files go back and forth in computers nowadays, and then so the final master I think was done in 2021 sometime.
And I wanted to ask you, Demons, that track. I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you, can you speak on the track?
Yeah, well, Demons is a really important track for us because we've actually been playing it live also since I've been in the band. I had my first gig with Warrant in 2022, and we played the song then, and I think it's basically it's building a bridge between the old Warrant and the new Warrant because
Mm-hmm.
it's a speed metal song, obviously. It's fast, it's powerful, it's thrashy almost in some parts, but it's also melodic. And it's I think Jörg, who wrote the song, really got the vibe of the old school speed metal vibe, but he got it into a more modern context and made it kind of our song of Warrant now, Warrant 40
Yes.
years later. That's kind of the way I see it. Yeah, I mean, I'm 10 years younger than Jörg, so back in the early days of Warrant, I was in grade school. So
Wow.
so back then 10 years was a big deal, right? Nowadays it's not so much anymore. I'm in my
Sure.
late 40s, he's in his late 50s, so but back then I wasn't even on the scene. So Warrant was as I became a musician in the metal scene, let's say in the 90s, Warrant had already written history in the 80s. So he was a guy on the scene who was he'd already been a rock star, for a short period of time, at least in the mid
Mm-hmm.
80s, before anyone else was basically doing anything. I mean, like obviously there were bands before the mid 80s, but not that many, right? So that was and for me the song Demons is kind of a reuniting the mysterious old days that I didn't experience with the modern Warrant, I could say.
Another track that I really love off the album is Scream for Metal. I wanted to ask if you could speak on that one as well.
Yeah, sure. Again, also a song that we play live that we've already played live. We did a release tour in October. We played several shows in Belgium and Germany to promote the new album that was just
Mm-hmm.
released, and that was one of the live songs. It's really fun to play. I think it's really powerful. Also in a live setting, it's got a lot of drive and it's the lyrics, as I understand them. I've talked to Jörg about this because he obviously also wrote the lyrics. Um, they're about. I mean, I guess the lyrics speak for themselves, but they reflect what was going on his mind when he was a young guy in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and having his outlook on life and on music and on the heavy metal scene. And it's kind of it's got a naivety in it that only a person of that age would have, because
Sure.
I mean, now he's in his late 50s, and he has a he has a career. He has his own company. He does other things too, but he still is a guy who wants to stand on a stage and play heavy metal. So, and he never lost um, that initial enthusiasm for music.
Sure.
He never lost it. And yeah, I mean, the band had initial success, but was way too young and way too naive and not business mindset enough to sustain the success they had, the early success. Many bands of those early days were able to do it, but Warrant just completely collapsed, after their initial success with the Enforcer album. And the band, they just banded I think must have been around 87 or 88. And then reunited in 99, and then always had trouble though, because the band never really worked, the way that York wanted it to.
Sure.
And it just, it just didn't. Then they made a new album in 2014, which you possibly know of. It's called Metal Bridge. It's a little style-wise, it's a little different, a little more modern, maybe not quite the style that the Warrant fans of the early days would imagine. But York's dream was always to get a band together and to play Warrant the way he wanted to. And as I understand him, the Warrant that we have now is what he always wanted. He wanted to have a band that really tours, that goes, that he can be on the road with and play these old songs. And since Warrant really didn't play that many shows back in the 80s, there's so many fans that come to the concerts now that have actually never seen Warrant live, and now finally are 40 years later, and they're so happy. And York, especially, because I mean, obviously we're all in the band, but we're all younger guys who've done other things, and York is the original Warrant guy, and for him it's just so satisfying to be able to stand there now 40 years later and play those same songs and see the happiness in the fans' eyes, and it's really, really nice to witness that.
And another question I wanted to ask you, as a person that listens to Spotify occasionally, when I looked up your catalog on Spotify, they actually had thrown in albums from the USA band Warrant in there with your catalog. I didn't know if you were aware of it or not.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's that's that. I can tell you all kinds of stuff about that. I'm just gonna take off this. This is a little warm. Just a second.
No problem.
Well, see, the confusion with the American Warrant is something that also goes to the complete band history. When we released our first single, "Falling Down," from the new album as a video, we got almost half of the comments. If you look at the comment section of the video, refer to the American Warrant, saying, I'm here to look at Cherry Pie Warrant or whatever, and it's the wrong band or whatever. And then some of them are really funny too. There's some of them go in the direction, this is not the Warrant I expected, but they're still good. And some say that these Warrant are terrible, or these are the wrong Warrant. And some say the other Warrant are pussies, and we're the just goes on all. It's really funny. And what Yoko says as well, what a lot of people don't realize is that the German Warrant was founded in 1983, which is actually even before the American Warrant. Probably was founded. I guess the founding dates are pretty hard often to pinpoint exactly, because but the first releases, I think the American Warrant, their first release was it also 85? Can't remember.
I believe it was around that time. Yeah.
Right. So it's not like we knew that they existed and then just copied their name, but it was we didn't know. I mean, I certainly not, but York and in those days, and I think especially in the mid 80s, the American Warrant were not known in Europe at all. Nobody knew about them. So that was, I think they started their career in the States. I think they never really made it big in Europe at all. It was mainly an American thing. As far as I know, they never really toured Europe. I'm not sure or do you know otherwise?
They have toured Europe in their past career in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, but
they did. Okay.
But it is a long time ago.
The
band's still in existence, just without Janie Lane, the vocalist.
Yeah.
He's from my area that passed away.
Okay. Yeah, right. That I know. Right, and York always told me they never toured Europe, so maybe they did in the very early days, but certainly not recently.
Right. No.
And yeah, it's really a little. People get it mixed up, and like one of our concerts in Mannheim, a city here about 200 miles south of here, where we played a couple weeks ago. Actually, one fan came all the way from Hamburg, which is like from Mannheim is like 500 miles or so.
Wow.
Came all the way down, thinking that it was the American Warrant
Oh,
playing,
wow.
because on their homepage, our concert was listed on their homepage, because I guess the databases get mixed up too sometimes.
Sure.
These concert lists often are, more or less, I don't know if they're AI generated, but they're generated through other sites that host concert dates, and they got it mixed up. And so our concert dates were in there, even on their homepage. So
Wow.
luckily, we haven't had too many incidents like that. We had one thing like that, and we were on tour in Spain earlier this year, and there were two guys who showed up at a concert in Madrid, in the capital of Spain, and were expecting to see the American Warrant, and they were really put off. And they saw us. They saw that we played two songs, and then they just left.
Wow. That's crazy. To me, great music, no matter what the genre is. And you guys produce amazing music. This album is great from top to bottom, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it's a luckily our style is different than the American one, so it's we're not the exact same. If we're also the exact same type of hard rock heavy metal, that would be more of a problem. But since
Sure,
things
I
are
think so
pretty
too.
far apart, and we're probably too insignificant that they would even. I don't even know if they know about us at all. I'm sure they might have noticed in some occasions, seen there's some other band out there that with the same name. But luckily, since we're a lot smaller than they are, it's probably for them, it's not really worth.
Well, they should be looking at their webpage to see if your dates are on there.
Yeah, and like you said, our songs get jumbled up too.
Sure,
I made a point, because I know of this issue with it's called artist separation issues on Spotify. I'm aware of that problem because I've heard it with other bands too. And I told the label, um, no, right. After it happened, the first single landed on the Warrant, on the American Warrant site, Falling Down. And I told them afterwards, I said, you should have paid it more attention, because I thought they would do it, they would know better, but
sure.
they obviously didn't. There's a couple things you can do in the digital distribution area to make sure it lands on the right Spotify account. And but we eventually got it straightened out. It's now in our account. It's just that we still have a Warrant album in an American Warrant album in our account. So I'm trying to get
Sure.
rid of that, and then we'll have it all straightened out.
And I wanted to ask you, as far as the three singles you have released, how did the videos go for you?
Yeah, it was. I think the reactions were very good. We can tell mainly by the obviously by the
Mm,
comments. It was really, as I said before, really entertaining to see how the people reacted. Um, and we can also tell when we play live, because we play all three singles live,
mm,
to see if the people know the songs or not. And we can tell, no matter what we play, there's always a couple of people who actually have seen the video or heard the song or whatever, even before the album was out, and can sing along and everything. So that's really cool. It's makes us very happy.
and now you have bridged the gap, and you have the band that you initially wanted to start with, right? Um, what would you say is the next step for you? Will you go back, and are you working on tracks now?
Not yet. We certainly don't want to wait another 10 years to make a new album. That's also, especially, I mean, obviously Jörg is the band boss. He calls the shots. We're his band.
Hmm.
That's a clear thing. But he's already said he wants to involve us in songwriting to a certain extent, at least, and he doesn't want to wait another 10 years. So he wants to get a new album out relatively fast. I'm not saying next year, but let's say at the latest in 2 years. Um, Also, just to show, we're a band. We're not just we're not just a band reminiscing of old days, but we're actually
Sure.
a contemporary band that wants to be taken seriously. And so we're going to be touring quite a bit. We have shows coming up in Greece and Portugal, and we're going to do another tour in Germany and Czech Republic in March. We're going to be on the road with Knife, another German band. And there's another, and we have another third band is going to be on that billing too. Um, uh, I can't think of the name right now. It's Task Force Toxicator. That's it. It's a thrash
Okay.
band, also from Germany. Task Force Toxicator. Not that easy to pronounce. Um, that's coming up in late March, early April, sometime.
Excellent. And I
That's
wanted to
we're really
ask you,
looking forward to that.
and I wanted to ask you as well about your musical background. Can you tell me how you, at what age you were when you started and how you developed your talents?
You mean me personally?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm originally when you go way back, I have a more classical background because my parents were always fans of classical music, and church and choir music and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And not at all. My parents actually weren't into rock music at all. They had no idea about it. I'm still from that generation that you probably possibly know too.
Sure.
Nowadays, when you talk to younger kids, their parents are, they're all, you know, I mean, the heavy metal scene has gotten so old that even the grandchildren of heavy metal people
Sure.
nowadays rebel
Absolutely.
against their parents by not listening to heavy metal,
Right.
even though heavy metal originally was a rebellious music, but things have really changed over the
Sure.
decades. So, like I said, my day, my parents were classical, and I had classical lessons. I learned violin when I was 5, 6. I started taking lessons, and I played violin until I was 15. But my surroundings at school and my neighborhood were, I could tell at the age of about 14 that what I was drawn to was hard rock and heavy metal, and I wanted to play heavy music. I just got into it more and more through my friends, and then I ultimately decided to pick up playing guitar, and it was really very what was really cool is that I had the dexterity for playing
Dexter.
guitar. I had basically laid the foundation for on the violin. So when I started to play the guitar, it didn't feel hard at all to learn the instrument. It just kind of came second nature. So within a couple of weeks and months, I was able to play stuff that other friends who'd been playing for longer periods of time had much more trouble with. And I was practicing all the time. So like I was always lazy on the violin, but as soon as I started playing guitar, I was practicing many hours a day. I didn't want to do anything else. So
Sure. And I couldn't imagine, as a person who's played guitar before, it's it's gotta be such a almost like, oh my God, I'm cheating. There's frets, because on violin you have nothing to go by but just feel.
right, yeah, right. You really have to listen, right? And but I wasn't, I was very lazy on the violin. My teacher was constantly trying to kick my ass to get me to practice more, and she was always very frustrated. I think she knew that I had some talent, when you see somebody, when you see it wasted through laziness, that's
Sure.
very frustrating for a teacher. And then plus I was always telling her that I was listening to heavy metal and I was considering picking up the guitar, and she didn't want to have any of that.
Oh, right.
She hated anything that had to do with. She was really an old school hardcore classical musician that hated anything that had to do with modern music whatsoever, especially heavy metal. And she was trying, she was of that mindset, that she said, like, well, it's all diabolical and satanic.
Sure.
And then she brought this book, that was, she said, they've proven that hard rock leads you know into Satanism and that kind of stuff. And then when we'd have these debates, and then, I mean,
Sure. And I'd say, well, if that's the case, why is every depiction of the devil he's playing a fiddle, right?
that's a good point. Too bad I too bad I didn't have that argument.
Oh, and I also wanted to ask you, what is the best way to get a copy of this album or any merchandise that you have?
Um, our stuff is currently the best way to get it is probably to order it on Amazon, I would say.
Okay.
because we still have to do so many things. We have to set up our own shop on our website. We haven't done that yet. We had all kinds of trouble on the tour to get a hold of merch because the music industry is really not what it was 20 years ago.
Sure,
It's just we didn't get a delivery on time of our own merchandise for our release tour, and I don't want to get into it too much, but it was pretty frustrating at times.
sure,
So, like right at the moment, we don't have any vinyl copies at all. The vinyl was pressed, but we don't have any. We got 5 copies, and we sold them, of course, at the first show that we
sure.
had them. And none of us has a copy of vinyl, and we ordered them. We ordered new ones, but who knows when we're going to get them? So
Right.
it's kind of, yeah,
Yeah, it can be. I hear a lot of times it can be like 6 months or more.
yeah. I don't know.
And lastly, my friend, I wanted to ask you if you could give a message to your Warrant fans, what would that message be?
Well, uh, well, first of all, thanks for being there and over all these many years. I mean, like I say, Warrant is a weird band because it's been there for so long, and we've never been more active than we have been this year, actually,
Hmm.
on the live scene, especially with the new album out and everything. And next year is going to be a very active year, and I'm really very overwhelmed by the positive reactions of fans coming to concerts who, you know, to actually see that they're there, because I could hardly believe it when you're playing at a festival somewhere in at a bigger festival. You never know where the people are coming from who are seeing you, because it's a festival, the people are there, right?
Sure.
But when you play a headlining show somewhere in southern Germany or in Belgium, you could be ending up standing in front of 3 people. You don't know what's going to happen, and that actually people show up and know the songs and are enthusiastic, and it's something that I'm really happy and thankful for. And no matter where, whether it was Spain or Belgium or anywhere in Germany that we played this year, it was just awesome. So thanks so much.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about metal fans is they don't forget, you
They
know.
don't forget.
No.
And they were singing along, the lyrics of songs that were released 40 years ago.
Sure. And that's the way it is. I mean, when I saw the album that came out, I was like, you're kidding me. And I couldn't wait to hear it, just because of the fact that, it brings back that memory.
Yeah, right.
You
And
know,
interesting also is that there's so many relatively young people who listen to it too. It's not only the older
mm,
guys who actually were there in the mid 80s, but there's guys who are half my age who listen to Warren too.
mhm.
So, and I don't know if there's that type of scene in the States too, but in
Sure,
Europe,
absolutely.
yeah, there is. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, during the COVID times, it was really rough around here. Ohio has a lot of facilities for shows and that, and a lot of them had to close down because, there's no way to pay the bills. And now it's thriving and it's very rich again, but it took a long time to get back to that point again,
Okay.
you know. But I want to
Oh,
take a moment to thank you for taking time to speak with me. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
it's been my pleasure. Thank you. You're very welcome, and thank you for the interest.
And please keep me updated with any new news as it comes about, my friend.
Okay, we'll put you in the email list.
All right, thank you, and you have a great rest of your day.
And you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.